Welcome to our journey tonight. This story explores time not as we measure it, but as we experience it. It asks, what makes a moment meaningful? Let yourself sink deeper into rest as we explore the workshop where time is made. In a city that could have been Vienna or Prague or somewhere that never existed, down a narrow cobblestone street that appeared only when needed, there stood a workshop. The sign above the door read simply, "Horologist, a maker of clocks." The workshop had been there for 300 years, though the street around it had changed countless times. Buildings rose and fell, empires came and went, but the workshop remained, its windows always glowing with warm light, its door always unlocked. Inside the workshop was a wonderland of ticking. Clocks covered every surface. Grandfather clocks tall as men, pocket watches delicate as flowers, wall clocks ornate with gilding, simple kitchen timers, each one keeping its own time, ticking its own rhythm, creating a symphony of temporal music. The clockmaker's name was August, though he had been called many names over his long years. He was old exactly how old? He couldn't say old enough that his hands trembled slightly when he worked, but not so old that they'd lost their precision. His eyes were sharp behind wire-rimmed spectacles. His hair was white as winter snow. He wore an apron covered in oil stains and pockets full of tiny gears. August had been making clocks for longer than he could remember, not just making them, creating them. Each clock was unique, designed for a specific purpose, for a specific person. Each one measured time in its own particular way, because time, August knew, was not universal. It moved differently for different people, in different circumstances. A minute waiting in fear was an eternity. An hour in joy passed in an instant. Time was subjective, personal, intimate. His clocks reflected this truth. On an afternoon in late September, when the light came gold and slanting through the workshop windows, a woman entered. She moved slowly, as if walking through water, as if each step required tremendous effort. Her name was Iris, and she was 39 years old, though she looked older. Exhaustion had carved lines around her eyes and mouth. Her shoulders curved forward, under an invisible weight. Her clothes were expensive, but rumpled, as if she'd been wearing them for days. "I need a clock," she said without preamble. August looked up from the pocket watch he was repairing. He studied her for a long moment, seeing not just her physical appearance, but something deeper, the way she held herself, the heaviness in her eyes, the particular quality of her tiredness. "What kind of clock?" he asked. "I don't know," Iris admitted. She looked around at all the ticking timepieces. I feel like time is wrong, like it's moving wrong, too fast or too slow or both at once. I can't explain it." "You don't need to explain," August said gently. "Time sickness is common. Sit, tell me." "About your days." Iris sat in a worn chair near the workbench. For a moment, she just breathed, listening to the ticking symphony around her. Then she began to speak. She told him about her life. The startup company she'd founded 10 years ago that had grown beyond her wildest expectations. The 100 employees who depended on her, the investors who demanded constant growth, the competitors who never slept, the endless cycle of meetings and emails and decisions. She told him about her daughter, 8 years old, being raised mostly by nannies because Iris was always at work. She told him about the way days blurred together, how she couldn't remember what she'd done last week or last month, how time moved in strange jumps. She'd blink and 3 hours had passed in what felt like minutes. She'd sit in a meeting that felt like it lasted for years, but the clock said 20 minutes. "I feel like I'm missing my life," Iris said, her voice breaking. "Like time is stealing it from me. I'm living every day, but experiencing none of it. It all just slips through my fingers." August nodded slowly. He'd heard variations of this story countless times over the centuries. The details changed, the jobs, the specifics, but the core remained the same. People racing through their days, trying to fit more into every hour, losing the ability to actually be present in the moments they were living. "You have time sickness," he said, "a disease of modern living. Your brain is in constant future focus, always planning the next thing, anticipating the next crisis, preparing for the next demand. You're never actually in the moment you're occupying, so the moments pass without being experienced. They become empty, lost." "Can you fix it?" Iris asked desperately. "I can make you a clock that will help," August said. "But you have to understand the clock can't change time. It can only change how you relate to it. The work of actually being present, of actually experiencing your moments, that's yours to do." "I'll do anything," Iris said. August stood and moved to a workbench in the back of the shop. "Come, let me show you what I mean." August led Iris through the workshop, explaining different clocks as they went. "This one," he said, pointing to a large grandfather clock with a face that showed not numbers but images, measures experienced time, not hours and minutes but moments of presence. For the person who owns it, time only advances when they're truly present. When they're checked out, distracted, anxious about past or future, the clock stops. It shows them viscerally how much of their life they're actually living versus how much they're missing. Iris stared at it. "That's terrifying." "Yes," August agreed. "Which is why most people don't want it. It's too honest." He moved to another clock, this one small and portable, made of brass and glass. "This one measures relationship time. It tracks the minutes actually spent in genuine connection with others. Not just physical proximity, but real connection, seeing and being seen. The tick advances only in moments of true intimacy, emotional, not necessarily physical." "And people use this?" Iris asked. "Some do. usually after realizing they've spent years in relationships without actually connecting, without actually knowing or being known. It's a wake-up call, a way to see how much of their relational life has been superficial. More clocks, each one measuring a different aspect of temporal experience. A clock that ran faster when you were happy, slower when you were miserable, showing you the ratio of joy to suffering in your life. A clock that only ticked during moments of meaning times when you felt deeply alive, deeply purposeful, deeply yourself. A clock that measured learning time, ticking only when you were actually growing, changing, becoming someone new. A clock that tracked creative time, the hours spent in flow states, making things, expressing yourself. Time isn't one thing, August explained as they walked. We pretend it is. We measure it in universal units, seconds, minutes, hours, but that's a convenient fiction. Time is subjective. A minute in pain is different from a minute in pleasure. An hour doing meaningful work feels different than an hour doing meaningless work. Time with people you love moves differently than time alone. They reached the empty workbench at the far end of the shop. So, August said, turning to face Iris, what kind of time do you want to measure? What aspect of your temporal experience do you want to become conscious of? Iris thought for a long time, listening to the symphony of ticks and chimes around her. I want to measure the time I spend with my daughter, she finally said. Real time, not just being in the same room while I check my email. Actual, present, connected time. I want to know how much of her childhood I'm actually experiencing. August nodded. A worthy choice, and painful, because the number will likely be much smaller than you want it to be. I know, Iris whispered, but I need to know. I need to see it. Otherwise I'll wake up one day and she'll be grown, and I'll have missed it all. Very well, August said. The clock will take me 3 days to make. Come back then. Iris left the workshop and returned to her life. But something had changed. She couldn't stop thinking about the clock, about the idea that time wasn't universal, that moments could be lost or experienced depending on her presence. On the first day, she went to work as usual, but she found herself noticing things she'd never noticed before. The way meetings expanded to fill whatever time was allotted to them, even when the actual content could be covered in half the time. The way she spent hours answering emails that didn't really matter. The way she said yes to calls and commitments out of habit or fear, not because they were actually important. She noticed the way time seemed to disappear into her phone. She'd check social media for just a minute, and 30 minutes would vanish. She'd read articles about other people's lives, and suddenly an hour was gone. And she noticed the way time moved strangely around her daughter. In the morning, getting Amara ready for school, every minute felt like an hour. The struggle to get her to eat breakfast, to brush her teeth, to find her shoes, It all felt eternal, frustrating, interminable. But then Iris would blink and it would be bedtime, and she'd realize she'd barely seen Amara all day. The nanny had picked her up from school, helped with homework, made dinner. Iris had worked through it all. The hours with her daughter had somehow disappeared. On the second day, Iris did something she hadn't done in years. She left work at 5 o'clock, just walked out, ignoring the raised eyebrows, the unfinished emails, the voice, in her head screaming that the company would fall apart without her. She picked Amara up from the after-school program herself. Amara's face when she saw her mother, the surprise, the joy, it broke Iris's heart. When had it become unusual for her to do this? When had her presence become the exception rather than the rule? They went to the park, just the two of them, and Iris did something radical. She put her phone away, completely away, in her bag, out of reach. For the first half hour, it was agony. Her mind kept reaching for the phone like a phantom limb. She thought of 1,000 things she needed to check, respond to, handle. Her anxiety spiked. What if there was an emergency? What if something important was happening? But slowly, gradually, the anxiety eased, and Iris found herself actually watching Amara play, actually seeing her daughter, the way her face lit up when she went down the slide, the way she narrated her own adventures in a running monologue, the way she kept checking to make sure Iris was watching, was present, was really there. Time moved strangely in the park. The hour they spent there felt both longer and shorter than an hour at work, more full, more dense with experience, more real. On the third day, Iris started measuring things differently. Instead of measuring her productivity by emails sent or meetings attended, she measured it by moments of genuine presence. How many minutes had she actually been present at her desk, focusing deeply on meaningful work, versus how many had she spent in reactive mode, distracted and fragmented? The ratio was embarrassing. Of 8 hours at work, maybe 2 were actually productive. The rest was fragmentation, distraction, context switching, attending to the urgent but unimportant. That evening, Iris picked up Amara again. They made dinner together, or rather, Amara helped in the chaotic way 8-year-olds help, making more mess than progress. But Iris found herself laughing, actually laughing, being present with the mess, with the imperfection, with her daughter's earnest attempts to crack eggs. Time in the kitchen moved like honey, thick and slow and sweet, a half hour that felt like a complete experience rather than a gap to be rushed through. On the afternoon of the third day, Iris returned to the workshop. August was waiting, the new clock on the workbench before him. It was beautiful, smaller than a pocket watch, designed to be worn as a pendant. The face was opalescent, shimmering with colors that shifted as she looked at it. Instead of numbers, it had symbols she didn't recognize, and it had 2 hands, one gold, one silver. The gold hand, August explained, measures chronological time. It moves like any normal clock, marking seconds and minutes as they pass. He pointed to the silver hand. The silver hand measures presence time. It only moves when you are truly present with your daughter, not just physically proximate, not just in the same room while doing other things, actually present, seeing her, connecting with her, experiencing the moment you're in with her. He held up the clock so Iris could see it more clearly. Over any given period, a day, a week, a month, you can compare the two hands. You can see the ratio of time passed to time actually experienced with Amara. Most people find the gap illuminating. Iris took the clock with trembling hands. It was warm to the touch, as if alive. "How does it know?" she asked. "How does it measure presence?" August smiled slightly. "The same way you know. There's a feeling, isn't there? A quality to attention. When you're truly with someone versus when you're physically there, but mentally elsewhere. The clock simply reflects what you already know, but usually ignore." He helped her put it on, the chain settling around her neck, the clock resting just over her heart. "One warning," August said seriously. "This will change you. You cannot unsee what the clock shows you. You cannot go back to unconsciousness about how you're spending your time. Some people find that unbearable. They bring the clock back, ask me to take it away because the truth is too painful." "I won't," Iris said with more certainty than she felt. "We'll see," August said gently. The first week with the clock was devastating. Iris wore it always, checking it constantly, and what it showed her broke her heart. On Monday, she spent 90 minutes with Amara total. Morning routine, bedtime, routine. But of those 90 minutes, the silver hand showed only 12 minutes of actual presence. 12 minutes where she was truly there, truly connected, truly experiencing the moment with her daughter. The rest of the time she was thinking about work, mentally drafting emails, worrying about meetings, planning tomorrow, rushing through the motions of motherhood while being entirely absent from it. Tuesday was worse. A work crisis kept her at the office until 9 p.m. She got home after Amara was already asleep. 0 minutes of presence. An entire day of her daughter's childhood gone, unexperienced, lost. Wednesday, Iris left work at 6. She was determined to do better. She picked up Amara, made dinner, helped with homework, did the bedtime routine. She was there for 3 hours, but the clock showed only 25 minutes of presence. 25 minutes out of 3 hours. The rest was fragmented. She'd been checking her phone, thinking about tomorrow's presentation, mentally elsewhere, even while reading bedtime stories. Iris stared at the clock and wanted to weep. If this ratio held, if 25 minutes out of every 3 hours was her rate of presence, then she was experiencing less than 15% of her time with her daughter, less than 15% of her daughter's childhood. Amara was 8. In 10 years, she'd be 18, gone to college, out of the house. Iris did the math. If she had 10 years left of Amara living at home, and she was only present for 15% of it, that meant she had the equivalent of she couldn't finish the calculation. It hurt too much. That night, after Amara was asleep, Iris sat in her daughter's room and watched her. Sleep. Really watched. Present. Paying attention. The silver hand ticked forward. Iris watched it move and understood. This was what she'd been missing. Not grand moments, not special occasions, just this, the simple presence, the being there, the experiencing the life she was living rather than rushing through it to get to some future that never quite arrived. Over the following weeks, Iris began to change. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gradually, like water wearing away stone. She started leaving work earlier. Not every day, some days, the crises were real and demanded her attention. But most days, most of the time, the urgency was manufactured. The emails could wait. The meetings could be shorter. The world would not end if she wasn't available every second. She started putting her phone in a drawer during dinner, during homework time, during the bedtime routine. The first few days she felt phantom buzzing. Her hand kept reaching for the absent device, but gradually she adjusted, and she started noticing time differently. She noticed how much of her day was spent in reactive mode, responding to other people's priorities rather than living according to her own. How much time she gave away freely to demands that weren't really important. She noticed how much time she spent worrying about things that never happened, mentally rehearsing conversations that never took place, preparing for crises that never materialized. All of it was time stolen from presence. All of it was life unlived. The clock kept its honest accounting. Some days the ratio improved. Some days it didn't. But the simple act of measuring, of seeing, of being conscious of how she was, spending her one finite life, it changed everything. 3 months after receiving the clock, Iris made a radical decision. She stepped back from day-to-day operations of her company, hired a CEO to run things, stayed on as board chair but delegated the constant firefighting to others. Her investors thought she was crazy. Her colleagues questioned her commitment. But Iris checked her clock and knew she was choosing presence over productivity, being over doing, life over the appearance of life. The ratio improved. Not to 100%, that was impossible, but from 15% to 30%, then 40%, then 50%. Half her time with Amara was now actually experienced, actually present, actually real. It still wasn't enough. She wanted more, but it was progress. It was change. It was choosing consciousness over unconsciousness. 6 months after receiving the clock, Iris returned to August's workshop. She found him at his workbench, carefully assembling a new timepiece. "It's working," she told him. He looked up and smiled. "I can see that." "How?" "Your face," he said simply. "6 months ago, you looked like you were drowning. Now, you look like you're learning to swim." Iris laughed. It was true. She felt different, lighter, more present in her own life. "I wanted to ask you something," she said. "The clock measures my presence with Amara. But what about my presence with myself, with my work, with friends, with all the other parts of life?" "You want more clocks," August said. "Maybe," Iris admitted. "Or maybe I'm learning that I don't need them. The measurement was important at first. I needed to see how unconscious I'd become. But now I'm learning to feel presence without measuring it, to know when I'm there and when I'm not." August nodded approvingly. "That's wisdom. The clock is training wheels. Eventually, you internalize the lesson. You develop the capacity to notice your own presence without external measurement." He set down the tiny gears he'd been working with. "Some people keep the clock forever, needing the constant reminder. Others wear it for a while, learn the lesson, then put it away. There's no right answer, only what works for you." Iris touched the clock at her throat. She'd worn it every day for 6 months. It had become part of her. "I think I'll keep wearing it," she said. "Not because I need it necessarily, but because I want to remember. I want the reminder of what matters, of how easy it is to slip back into unconsciousness." "Then keep it," August said. "Wear it in good health. Live your life in presence." That evening, Iris was putting Amara to bed. They'd read 3 chapters of their current book, talked about Amara's day, shared their roses and thorns. The whole routine had taken 45 minutes. Iris glanced at her clock. The silver hand showed 43 minutes of presence. 43 out of 45? 95%. She'd been there for almost all of it. Really there, really present. Amara was drowsy now, eyes heavy, voice slowing. "Mama," she said sleepily, "I'm glad you're here more now." Iris's heart clenched. "Me too, baby." "You used to be here, but not really here," Amara continued, in that brutally honest way children have. "Now you're here for real." After Amara fell asleep, Iris stayed in her room for a while, watching her breathe, present with this simple miracle of her daughter's existence. And she understood the paradox at the heart of August's work. Time doesn't speed up or slow down based on external circumstances. It moves at its constant pace, indifferent to our experience. But our relationship to time, our subjective experience of it, is entirely within our control. We can race through our days, trying to fit more and more into every hour, and time will seem to accelerate, to slip through our fingers, to steal our lives from us. Or we can be present. We can actually experience our moments, and time will feel different. Not slower, exactly, but fuller, richer, more real. The paradox was this: by trying to save time, to be more efficient, to do more in less time, we actually lost time. We lost the experience of it. We lost the living of our lives. But by slowing down, by being present, by doing less, but experiencing it more fully, we gained time. Not more hours, the hours were fixed, but more life within those hours, more depth, more richness, more actuality. The measurement didn't create the presence, it only revealed it, or rather, it revealed the absence of presence, and in seeing the absence, we could choose differently. That was the gift of the clock, not to change time, but to change our relationship to it, to make the invisible visible, to show us what we'd been missing so we could choose to stop missing it. You don't need a magic clock to measure your presence. You already know when you're truly there and when you're not. You can feel the difference between a moment fully experienced and a moment lost to distraction or worry or mental absence. The question is, what will you do with that knowledge? How many of your moments are you actually experiencing? How much of your life are you actually living? Not to judge yourself, not to feel guilty, but simply to notice, to become conscious, to choose. Because time is the one thing you can't get more of. The hours pass whether you're present for them or not. The days accumulate, the years unfold. You can spend them unconscious, rushing from thing to thing, always planning the next moment instead of experiencing this one. Or you can be present. You can slow down. You can actually be in your life while you're living it. The choice is yours. The choice is always yours. As you drift toward sleep now, let yourself be present with this moment, this breath, this darkness, this peaceful letting go. You don't need to be anywhere else. You don't need to do anything else. You can simply be here now, experiencing this moment of rest. Tomorrow will bring its demands, but tonight there is only this, the gentle drift toward sleep, the quiet release of the day, the simple presence in this moment of peace. Be here now, fully, completely, and rest well.